So I'll go over to File, New Project, select the Java Web Application, click Next, and let us give it a name as Struts Demo. Let me click Next, and there is nothing that you have to select here. Go to the next section and then select Struts 1.3.1.0, whatever it is. Okay. All of them will going to work. Also select Add Struts PLDs. So select this part also, as well as the other one. Nothing else need to be done. So you've selected the struts, and when you select the struts, you will notice the first thing that it's going to say is, do you want me to add the filter information? And the filter information is star.do. So any file name dot do will be sent to the action. So, and also it's going to say where is the resource bundle that you would like to use it. Let's click finish. When you finish the application, you will notice that under the projects, you will find that it has created a ordinary web application. There is no new things. But if you look at the under the web pages, you will find that it has created a welcome struts.jsp on its own, and there is the index page that is going to show you here, and this is what is being shown up there. So this is the two files. I have told you, if you want to use the struts, then all the start.do request has to go to the servlet, that is the our control servlet. So let's look at that information. I will show you the PowerPoint, so then it is much easier to recall what we have already seen. If you look at this one here, so all your requests that you are getting has to be passed to the action servlet. So that's the first one. So let's look at that part, and that information I've told you, this information is configured in the web.xml. So let's go to this web.xml. You will find that web.xml in the web in. So you're going to find it here. You will notice that there is this web.xml file. If you double click on this web.xml, you'll find that it is a XML document. Okay, you just click on source if you are not getting it, and you will notice that there is this mapping section. So the mapping, and you will notice that the URL pattern, if it is start.do, then it has to go to the servlet named action. Now that's the name that is given. It's not the class name. It's a name that it's like a variable name that you have given. Where is this action servlet? If you scroll up here under this servlet section, you were looking at this mapping section. Now if you look at this servlet section, there are many servlets are there, maybe there, in this case it's not there. you will find that there is a servlet with the name action. So there is a servlet that is given the name action, and the class that corresponds to this action is available under org.apache.struts.action servlet. So in other words, the request star dot do is actually sent to this class action servlet. Now where is this action servlet? Action servlet is provided by the uh, struts, so you are not writing it, so it will be available under the libraries. Okay, so let's go to the project again and let's look at the libraries. You will notice that under this libraries, lot of struts libraries are already included. The minute you selected the struts framework, it has selected all of them. Let's look at one of the library, and that is the standard libraries. So they are standard contents. So if you click on this standard libraries, you will find almost everything is there, and I am interested in org.apache.struts. I think not this. Yeah. It is not the standard. It is the other word for it is core. Select the score, not that word is not standard. Select the score, core 1.3 start score. Under this, you will find this location org.apache.struts.action. So you will notice that org.apache.struts.action. So this is the one that is available under core. And inside this, you will notice that there is a class called as action servlet. So that's the class that is provided by them. It's in the binary format. You will not be able to see the source code. So even if you double click on it, you will notice that it's going to use the reflection to get the method name. That's all. But if you notice over here, and if you look at this part, you will notice that it is not in the, if you take any method for that matter, you will notice that those methods are not in the Java format, they are in the byte format. Okay, that's a compiled code that is being given there. You don't get the source code for them. But I told you that the Struts is an open source. So why can't they provide the source here? This is the compiled version that they are providing. If you want to go to the source, go to the struts.apache.org. There is a separate download for the source code. You can download the source code from there. Now here, when they are giving the libraries, it's a pre-compiled libraries that they are giving. In other words, they are giving the binaries, so you will not be able to see the actual code. But that's the class that it is referring to. So whenever you say something star dot do, any name dot do, it actually goes to this main servlet, and that is the action servlet. Yeah, that's what it is doing. So this is not part of the struts. This is the part of the any ordinary Java application, that is the web application that you have created. For example, in the last class, I don't remember what are the other things we have created. I think in the last class we created some applications. Let me go over here, and we have created something like a web calculator or something of that type in the last we have created. If you go under this one, web, you will notice that there is if you go under here, there is no configuration file. Under configuration, you don't get that thing. That is because there was an option, do you want to get that deployment descriptor? We have not selected that. If you, I don't, it's not possible for me because every time I have not selected that. Exclusively I have not selected. Any other application I did. I think I don't have other application because I'm uninstalled the entire thing and I've given. If you have it for, say, if you have it, you will find it here somewhere, either under this or under the other places. You're going to get that thing. Now I don't have it here, but any application, if you say that I want a deployment descriptor, that will come. That is actually a deployment descriptor. And you notice that this has to do with, if you go on clicking on the web.xml, this has to do with the servlet and JSP. It is not exclusive for Struts. And here, if you go under the servlet, you will notice that it is saying the same old thing. URL pattern is do. It has to go to the org.apache.struts.action.action servlet, and the name for it is action. Now, this is the GUI format. This is the XML format. You are already familiar when you use the Eclipse, and that is for Android. When you use the Android, when you drag the button, when you drag the text box, behind the scene it was the XML. XML is usually not shown because it clutters the thing. It is not easy to go through the XML, even though it is easy to read them, but for human being, this is the best option. So it shows it in a form-like structure, and which is easy to update. Let's go to the other part. The other option that I have it here under my struts demo is the important information, that is the struts config.xml. Let's double click on struts config.xml to see what is there in that struts xml.config. Now this is also a XML file, and you notice now that there is already a built-in mapping that is provided there. And what does that mapping says? The mapping says that the if the path is /welcome, then you are supposed to forward the request to welcome JSP. That's what it is trying to say. Okay. So if the request is welcome/welcome, in other words, if the request is welcome.do, and you get that /welcome, then it has to go to the welcome.jsp. And if you notice, there is this welcome.jsp here, and this has already been opened up for you, and it says some message. It says, okay, welcome heading and some information. It's going to show some information to you. Let's look at that index.jsp. What does that index.jsp says? Now in the index.jsp, there is only one line that says that if somebody activates index.jsp, then forward that request to welcome.do. This is what the index page says. So if anybody types index.jsp, do not show anything, just forward that request to welcome.do. And in this struts.config, what is written? In the struts.config, you will notice that if anybody writes welcome.do, then show welcome.jsp. That is the mapping. And you notice that there is this is a global forward. At least the word itself says it is globally it is forwarding. So if there is an error globally, I want to forward at some location. That's what it is doing. If anybody types welcome.do, just forward it to the welcome.jsp. Let's look at this application. We are not doing anything. Just run this application as it is to see what is the output of this application. So this is the template that it is providing you, and just run it and to see what it is trying to do. When you run this one, you will notice that it's actually showing you an output of welcome.jsp, and that happens because it first activates index.jsp. In that index.jsp, there is a forward for welcome.do, and that welcome.do actually forwards it to welcome.jsp. And this is what, hope every one of you have got that thing, because you have a slightly faster machine. So let's look at what is happening. Right at the beginning, your request actually goes to a file called index.jsp. Index.jsp is forwarding your request as welcome.do. That welcome.do is actually forwarding your request directly to that welcome.jsp. So this is you are what you see now is this. You are getting the output of that welcome.jsp. I think you'll get this one. Struts application, it is easy to develop that. You will notice that here there is no URL, because even if you type index.jsp, it's going to do the same thing. I'm manually typing that. It's the same output. You'll get the same output, because when I type index.jsp, it goes to the forwards it to welcome.do, and welcome.do forwards it to the welcome.jsp. Now let's try to create our own application or our own pages and see how the things flow from one place to the other. So I'm going to just create a simple login form wherein the user will type their username and password, and if the login is successful, they will go to one page. If it is failure, they will be redirected to some other page. So that's only a simple exercise. So let's start with the exercise. I'm going to go to the NetBeans. I'm not going to start one more exercise for this, because I can do it in the same place. So I'm going to go here and let me create a web page. So I will not delete them, let them be there, they are not going to disturb my application. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say new JSP page. So I'm going to select new JSP page and I'm going to call this as login. You can give any name for this. Login, and there is nothing much you can do with that page. So I have this login page. Let me create the login. Now I don't want to create it like a HTML file. I want to create it like a struts, and I told you that struts is bundled with a lot of tag libraries. So let's try to use the tag libraries of struts. I will go here and I'm going to use the tag libraries of struts. So how do I do that thing? You are already familiar. We say tag libraries, and any prefix you can give, but I'm going to give the prefix as HTML as the prefix, and the URI that I'm going to use now is control space. I will go down and I will go to the struts, not the JSTL. This time I'm in the struts and I'm going to select this one. HTTP struts apache org tag.html. So this is the one that I'm going to select. Okay, so it must be struts.apache.org tags html. So I'm going to select that. Let me create a table. Let me create the login form now. I will just change it to, and I'm going to say login form. I will do it like a table. So I'm going to create it like a table. The table I will not use the struts for creating table, because it will be foolishness. The table is much easier to create even with HTML. So table has a row and a column. The first column, there are two columns are there. In the first column I'm going to say username, and in front of it I will get that username. In the second row, I'm going to get password. And in the third row, I will get a button. I've not done that. So how is it going to appear? I'm going to create a form like this, a table, and there is going to be username followed by a block. There is going to be password followed by a block, and there is going to be one button with the name login. This is what I am creating altogether. Okay. Now I don't want the text box from the HTML because I want the values to be mapped to the form. So you know very well the input that you supply to the struts is mapped to a bean. So whatever request that you are getting it here from the user, like username and password, will be finally stored on this action form. So I want that thing to be transferred automatically to the action form. So that's why I'm not going to use the HTML text and the input and so on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the struts specific tag, and I have given the prefix as HTML for my struts specific tags. So I'm going to type HTML. You will notice that when you type HTML, you get a lot of options there, and one of the options that I'm going to use is this text. That's for the text box, obvious one. And now I don't want to say the name, value, or this kind of thing. I want to map this one to the property of the form. So let's go back again. I want to map this value to the property of this form. I have not created this one. I will create it later, but I want to map it there. So how do I do that thing? I'm going to say I want to map the property, and I have not yet created it. This is the property. I will create it later. I have not created that bean. The property, I'm going to use one of the property as name. I'm going to map it to that property. Similarly, I'm going to map the password that I'm going to get it from the user to the password property. So how do I do that thing is I'm going to say HTML password. You get an option. Again, I'm going to say property I have not created, but I'll do it later. Password. And there are a lot of options are available, and I'm going to use one of the option here. Redisplay is false. Now what is this redisplay? In the last class I've told you, if there is an error, the password is not sent back. So when you created the last time, when you created a login form, and in that login form, if the username and password was not there, we sent back the request back to the form, and in that we have shown the username but not the password. So if the form is coming back again because of some error, the password will not be shown back to the user. Password will appear like blank, but the username will be shown. Even if they have typed the wrong username, when the error message is displayed, the same form will be shown back to the user with the last username that they have typed, but the last password will not be redisplayed. That's the meaning of saying that. So if this page has to be redisplayed again, do not show the password again. They were supposed to type it again. So let's go to the last part, and this one is going to be my submit button. So again, I'm going to use this HTML, and I'm going to say submit. and I don't want to map anything. I'm going to say value is login. Now this is all good if you have a form, but we have not created a form. We will have to put this entire thing inside a form. So let's do that thing. I will go above this table. I will go above this table. So I'll go here above this table, and I'm going to create again. It's not the HTML. This is not the ordinary HTML form. It's a struts form, and the action is I'm going to send it to slash login. Okay. So this form has to cover the entire thing. I'm going to minimize this table. So I'll minimize this table. So that table is gone now. So your table is still there. So not showing that table. After this table, I'll close that form. I think I'll have to put that slash then. So that form covers this table. There is this table is there, the last table that you have typed. The full table is there. It's called by Okay. So what has to be done now is the name from here and the password from here has to be mapped to the action form. So let's create a action form. So this is what we are supposed to do. We are going to supply the name and password, and it has to be mapped to this action form. So let's do that thing. Let's create an action form. I'm going to go to the project, and this time we have to do some Java here. So let's go to the source packages. Already there is a package. I will not create my own package. I'm going to use the same existing package. If you want, you can use the other package, but it's all there. And these are the properties. And if you, I'll come back to that property. Today I won't go into that. There are a lot of properties are there. Let's, if you want, double click on it, and you will see the properties. Okay, if you there is that property is there. If you're curious, you can double click on it, and the last thing you are going to see is the message that you saw for the first time. Struts application. It is easy to develop the Struts application. It was showing you this message. Okay, I'll come back to that one slightly later. As of now, just ignore it. We will not be using the resources. Okay, let's go to the project now. And let's add this action form. So I want to add this action form. So let's go here to the project, and I'm there at this one. Right click on it, new, and go to others. So I don't think so it is available. Go to others. So right click on this one, new, other, and go to struts. You get this strut. Under this strut you have action form. So I want to add an action form bean to my application. So let's add that action form. Click next. It's going to ask you what is the name of this action form. I'm going to say login action form. Any name you can give. Login action form. Let's finish it off. When you create this login form, the NetBeans is going to give you a sample action form, and this is a bean. I told you what is a bean. Bean is a ordinary class that has private fields, and it has getters and setters, and there is one a empty constructor. That is the default constructor. That's what is there. Fortunately, this template already has one of the field, and that is the name. But the second one is the integer. I am not using any integer, so I want to get rid of this part. It's not required for me because I'm not going to use it. I have two fields in the form. One is the name, another one is the password. But if you try to delete this thing, there are getters and setters for this one. If you notice down, somewhere you will say set number and get number. They are there because it is this number. You will have to delete that, otherwise you'll get an error message there. So either you can go here and delete this. When you delete this, you'll get an error message at that corner. If you go to the settings now, you'll get an error message saying that they are not there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the getter and setter method because it's no longer required. I don't have the field now for numbers. So I just deleted it. Both the field as well as the getter and setter for that I have deleted it. Let me add a extra field here, and I'm going to add a field private string password. Remember, this two names, it's an implicit mapping. What's the meaning of saying implicit mapping? You are not exclusively saying the struts how to map the things. You notice here in the login, the name that I'm giving is this property name, and the password I'm typed here is the same thing as the field name. So these two has to map. If you want to go for an implicit mapping, they have to be the same thing. If you make a spelling mistake, or even if you change the capitalization, you will end up in trouble. Okay. So I have created a property called password. Let me create a getter and setter, and you know very well to create a getter and setter, it's much easier. Right click on it, insert code, getter and setter, select it, click generate, and it's all done. So what I have done now is I have created this action form. So I have created the action form. What happens when the request arrives at the server? When the request arrives at the action servlet, it populates this action form and it is supposed to select a action. And I told you action is a class that you are supposed to write it. So let's create this action. So let's go back to the NetBeans again and let's create the action. Again, action is a class that I've already told you. Action is a class that is derived out of something. So let's go ahead and let's create the action now. So I'm going to go here, right click on it, new. So at the same place where I was there before, right click on it, new, others. Again to the struts, and this time I'm going to select struts action. So I'm going to select struts action. Let's go ahead and you're supposed to give a name. Any name, this is the class name. So you're supposed to give the name for this class. This is the class name. You can give any name. I'm going to give it a name as login. I think action. That will be login action. Remember, that name is yours, but the path for which this name is associated, you are mapping this name with a path that can be changed. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Your request is going to come here, and your request is going to come like something HTTP, and something will come here /login.do. It's going to come like this. So I'm going to type it here. So it's going to come like login.do. It is in small case. Why it is in small case? Because in the form you have written slash login. In the form, when you created HTML form, you wrote slash login, and that is the path. This is the path for which the request is going to come. So when the request arrives here, this will be the path name. This path is associated with some classes. That's up to you. Which class that you're going to connect, it's up to you. So the path name must be proper. The file name doesn't make much of a difference. So here, if you notice, you get an error message, and the error simply says that your path is not proper. Okay. So you are supposed to type the actual action path. What is the action path? Action path is slash login. This is the place where when I click on that form, the username and password form, when I click on that login button, it's going to send the request to this place, and that must be proper. So let's go next, and the next thing it's going to say here is, okay, I got the path. Let's look at here. Whenever a request goes to the action, a corresponding action form has to be supplied. The action form contains all the input that is supplied to the action. So in the next part of the wizard, it just says which is the action form. You may have many action forms in your application. So it's going to say which is the action form. As of now, you have only one. So by default, there was only one was there, and it has selected that one. If you had more than one action form, you would have selected any one of them. Okay. Then it says from where you are getting the input, which is your input resource. It's not the slash. Okay. Input source is from where you are going to get it. It's not this one. If you want, it doesn't make much of a difference. You can say browse. I'm going to get that input from the login page. It's not really required. Okay. So you can say that I'm getting it from that login page. It's not really required. The next one it says is what is the scope of it. I told you the scope could be request, page, request, session, and application. Now for this simple application, I won't say that, okay, I will select this as request scope. If you want a session scope also, it's not going to make any difference because it's just a simple demo. And the next one is the option here, it says that what is this attribute. I'll come back to it. The next option here it says is validate the action B. I'm not doing any validation as of now because it's a simple demo. So I will say that you don't validate. I will take care of it. Okay, once that is done, suppose the next one is, suppose what if you have a servlet, or if you have a bean that does not take any input. For example, show the result. Then you just go query the database and just show the result. You're not showing a result of MCA, fourth sem or anything. Show result means it's going to just display. If you don't have any forms associated with this, just remove this. It means to say that this particular action has no forms associated with it. That means it's not taking any input. It will perform on its own. But now I don't want that. I want it to perform something. So I'm going to just select it. Let's finish it off. And that's the end of it. So you get a class again. That class is, if you notice over here, that class extends out of action. So your login action extends out of action. And I have told you there is one important method which is there inside it, and that method name is the execute. So there is that method execute that takes the request. So what does the action servlet will do? It will populate this action form, it will select an appropriate action, and it's going to call that execute method inside it. and that's what it's going to do. It's going to call this execute method, and you are supposed to write your logic. And I told you it's going to take a number of parameters. One of the parameter is the mapping. Okay. Then it also takes the request and response. It takes that, and it also takes the form. So these were not discussed. Morning I told you it's going to take that action form. What's the meaning of it? Again, morning I told you that this action is going to take one of the parameter for this is this action. And what is returned out of this execute method is the action forward. What is returned is the action forward. So that method is there. Okay. So let's write some logic here. What is the logic? Logic is we are going to validate the user first. If the username, what we have done in the the previous lab, if the username is blank or if the password is blank, we will send an error message. That is what we have done last class. And if the username is equal to password, login is successful. Otherwise, login is failure. This is what we are going to do. Okay. So what are the things that we require here? I will not instantiate in the diagram that I've shown you here. Action will actually start a model and it will do all the things. Now in our case, there is no need just for, there is no fun in creating one extra class, supplying something to that class and getting the result. Instead of that, I'm going to do that work here itself in this method itself. So let's create some things. So I want to check whether the username is blank or null. If the username is blank or null, I am supposed to send an error message. Similarly, if the password is null or blank, I am supposed to send an error message. If the username is not blank, password is not blank, then I am supposed to compare the username with the password. Let's say if the username is equal to password, then the user is authenticated. If the username is not equal to password, then user is not authenticated. So let's have this general ID. So I have to get that username and password. So how do I get it? You know very well, one of the easiest way to get the username is by using this request. That request object is already there. So anytime you can just say request dot get parameter. So this is going to work because that request object is there. But you are not supposed to do that thing. Why we are not supposed to do that thing? If you read the username here directly, then you will have to validate everything. You have to do all the validation. Now this is just a demo, that's why I'm doing the validation. And if you have noticed, when I created this form, I said don't validate it. So you can put that validation part in the form itself. So you are not supposed to do that thing. So this is not a way in which you are supposed to get the username or password. Then from where you are supposed to get it? If you look at this diagram again, your username and password will be populated inside this action form, and you are supposed to get the username and password from that action form. Why we are supposed to do it? Because this action form has the validations. It will validate and it will do the needful things. So immediately the things are automatically taken care of. You don't have to do take the pain of validating everything. For this demo, let's get it. Now, how do I get that form? You again in this diagram, if you notice, action form is supplied to that execute method. So if you notice here, action form, one of the parameter that is supplied to the execute method is this action form. So action form comes here. But there is a small problem. What is the problem? What is supplied to this is the base class. It is not the class, that is the derived class that you have created. If you notice over here, what you have created is a login class that extends out of action form. It's not the original action form, it is something that extends out. In other words, what is passed to the execute method is the base, that is the action, not your class. So all your parameters will not be available there. So what you are supposed to do it? You have done it many a times. You will have to typecast whatever that is passed here. So this is the base class that is passed to you. So what you have to do is just typecast it to your derived version. So how do I do that thing? The name of my action is login action form. So I'm going to say login action form. I will just give it a name as login form equal to, I will typecast it, that's the only thing, login action form, and I will typecast it. So what I have done is I'm getting the action form, I am typecasting it like a login form. That's because I'm getting the base, not the derived version. From this, anytime you can get the username and the password. So let's get the username. So I'm going to say string username is login form, okay, dot get name. Similarly, I'm going to get this password. So get that. So now I'm getting it from the login form. So that action form I'm getting it, both of them. So once I get these two things, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do? I have to start validating. So let's validate it. So if username is null or blank equals username, that means this is an error condition. So if the username is blank or if it's null, it's an error. Okay. Similarly, if you want, I can do else if password is null. Remember, there is no need to do the validation here. It's not really required. You can do it in the previous section, but for this demo, I'm just doing it. Not ends with equals password this is also error. Else if username equals, so I'm using a simple validation, password, then login success, else login failure. So all possible options are there. So there are two error conditions, one success login and the last one, if nothing works fine, it's the failure. Now how do I tell that thing to the, whether it's a success, failure, or whether error? All this condition has to be told back to the action servlet. So how am I going to say that? Remember, this method returns something. And what is it going to return? It's going to return the action forward. Okay, you are supposed to return that object of type action forward back to the calling method. Now, if you notice over here, there is already a built-in template that says how to get that action. Now, this was done. This was there before. Beforehand, it was there. It is trying to return mapping dot find forward and success. It's returning that. Now, what is this success? Let's look at this one. And you are already familiar. By convention, if something is written in all capitals, it means it is a constant. Okay? Where is this constant? If you scroll up, you will find that there is a constant called success, and it's a string. Okay, and it just says success. So, but if you call this method, every time you are going to get the success. I'm going to recreate three other variables of this type. So I'm going to just copy this, Control C, and paste it, and paste it one more time. And I'm going to create a constant again called as failure and error. And I'm going to return failure and error. Additional constant. What's the advantage of using constant is tomorrow if you want to change the string, just go to the constant and make changes. Every entire program will. It doesn't mean that nobody says that you're not supposed to use the constant. You can anytime use the string itself. Let's go here and let's look at what it is trying to do. It says from the mapping find a forward for the word success. That's what it says. So where is that mapping? So this mapping is not there. So it just says mapping. There is something called there is a mapping. From the mapping, find the forward for the word success. Now, what is this success? Actually, what is the supplied here? It is not this capital success that is supplied. What is supplied is the small case success. So it just says go to the mapping and find a word called as success, small case success, and then get the forward from there. So where is that found? So where do you get that mapping? And you can guess mapping is there with the configuration. So let's go to the configuration to figure out what is there in it. And how do I get the configuration of these struts? Is to go to struts config. If you look at this struts config, you have mapping. You notice that there is something called as action mapping. So it is saying that go to this action mapping. In this section, you will find the success and failure. Now the problem is this section doesn't have success and failure just because you have not written success and failure. Your conditions, these are your business logic. You will have to take care of your business logic. Now let's look at our login page again. What are the things that we are supposed to do in our login page? Suppose if the login is successful, we are going to show one page. If the login is failed, we will show one other page. If there is an error, we will redirect them back to the login page. So we have created a login page here. So we have created a login.jsp. If there is an error, what do we mean by saying error? If the username is not typed or if the password is not typed, these are all error conditions. If there is an error, we will redirect them to the login page again and ask the user to type the username and password. If the username and password are matching, that means if they are authenticated, we will redirect them to some other page. If the username and password is not matching, that means the authentication has failed, we will redirect them to some other page. So let's first create these two pages and then we'll be able to map them. So let's go to the web.end. Let me tell you, I told you, if you put any page in this web.end, the client directly cannot call any of the pages or any of the resources which are inside web.end. It is access denied for the client. So a client cannot make a request. For example, if you have a page here, you cannot make a request. You have taken strutsdemo.jsf. What if I want to get this web.xml? Web.xml is inside web-env. So what will happen if I type that thing? So slash web-env, that's the folder. Okay, and if I call web.xml, you have to configure it. Okay, web.xml, that's the page which is inside web-env. So if you type enter, what you will get? Just says you will not, or you may even get access denied. Okay? That resource is not given directly to the client. It's an access. You can configure it. You can configure other files for also doing that. So what you put inside that page is not directly available to a user. It can be accessed via the program. Through your program, through your classes, you can access them. So I don't want somebody to go to the login page or a failure page on their own. They have to get authenticated, then only those pages will be shown to them. So that's why I'm putting it here. So these pages, whatever you put here, will not be directly available to anyone. They can't type the URL on their own. So they can type strutsdemo slash webin slash success.jsf or anything. That's not available. Through the program, however, you can show those content. So let me put a file not to the web pages inside web.env. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say add a JSP. And I'm going to call this as success.jsp. And I'm going to give a message, login succeeded or successful. And I want to give another message to the user. So, dear username, you have so some message. Now that username I want to change to the username that is being typed. So this is the dynamic username that I want to show, not the any type of message. So how do I get this username? Username will be available inside this action form. Okay. So again in the PowerPoint, during the logging in, it will fill the username and password here. From this one, I am getting it to the JSP. So all the information is available here. That information I am going to retrieve it back, not from the request. So how do I get that thing? Again, I will have to use some of the tags which are part of these struts. So let's use some other type of tags. So I'm going to use a tag. I will use the prefix for this as been because I'm going to refer to that been there. That is the action form been, and I'm going to use the URI as struts dot been. You have the struts been, not been el. El is expression language. We are not going to use that el. Instead of that, Apache.org tags and dash bean. So this is the one I'm going to use it. So once I use this bean, I want to replace this username with the actual username that is typed. So how do I do it? I have given the prefix as bean, and when you type that bean, because I gave the prefix as bean there, when you type the bean, you get the option. I want to write how you have C colon out in the JSTL. Here we have right, and it just says what is the name of the class. That's the name of the bean. Name of the bean is nothing but the name of this form, that is the login action form. So I'm going to say that it is login action form. That's the name of the action form. The next one is I want to specify the property. What is the property? Property is the name. So I want to get that name here. So it's the login action form and the name of the property which is there inside it. I want to show it here. That is successfully logged in. Let's create the failure. Login if it fails. Let's go here and let's create one more page. So I'm going to create one more page. Right click on it, new JSP page. And I'm going to say this is failure. So failure page. Click finish. Again at the same place. And if it is failure, I'm going to say access denied. Some message is going to be. So this is success and failure. The next one is the error. So when an error occurs, you will have to show the error message to the user. And where will you show the error message? Not on a separate page, on the same login page. So in the same page, I want to show the error message. But I don't know what type of error has occurred. So what I am going to do? I am going to create a separate field here. Remember, I am getting the values from this action form. So I got the username to the JSP from this action form. So I just use bean and write action form and the property name. I can get it. But I have only two properties there, that is the username and password. I don't have any properties for the errors. So let us create one property for the error and then we will use them to display to the user. So let's go to this action form now. We have two properties here. All of them are string. You can have integer also. So let's create one other property. So let me say private string error message. I'm going to use the getter and setter for this one. I'll use the getter and setter for that error message. You can add additional things to it, and if you notice over here, this error message here, I want to, when I set the error message, I'm going to set it slightly different. Okay, I don't just set the error message, and I can add additional text there. If you want, you can add the additional text. So when you set the error message, I'm going to say there was an error. And the error message is, so when I set it, I'm going to just say there was an error, and the error message is the actual error message that it's going to show there. One message that I'm going to give. So when somebody sets the error message, it will come in any way. There was an error, error message is something. So extra thing that I've done here. Let's go now. So we have this error one, error message. Now if there is an error, so in this login page, if there is an error, we would like to show that error message even in this login page. So how do I get it? How did I get that thing for the success? I use the bean.write to get the values from the form. So I will have to use the same thing to get the values from the form. So I'm going to add that tag for the bean. So let me go here and let me add the tag here, tag library, and the prefix that I've used is bean, and URI that I'm using is the same old thing, apache.org.tags bean. Same old thing, apache.org/tag bean. So this last time I got the username, this time I'm supposed to show the error message. Right after the table, you can show it anywhere. Right after the table, let's say I'm going to show it. You can show it here or you can show it after the form, it's up to you. Anywhere you want, you can show it. So I'm going to say bean right, name of the form is, I think, login action form. That's the name of the bean that I'm talking about, this one, login action form, in which I have this error message. Okay, that's the name, login action form. Property is so we got the same thing. I'm showing the property of the error message. Okay, so let's go and let's do the mapping. Now what it says is here, if you go to the action, it says go to the mapping and get the forward for the success or failure or anything. So let's go to the configuration now and then write the mapping. So we will have to write the mapping for this page. So if you look at this one action, what does it says? If the input, if you look at that, if you read that thing, if the input is login.jsp, the name of the form for which you have to input is loginaction.form. The path is login and the request is this. Who is going to handle that thing? Notice over here, it will be handled by the login action. So that is what is going to. So if it is login, this action is going to handle and validate is false. We are not validating. Now for this one, we have to find the mapping. What is happening? In terms of the diagram, what is happening? When the login comes here, it goes to the action servlet. Action servlet will populate this login action form with the username and password, and it will select this login action that you have created. It will call the execute method. When it calls the execute method, there are three possible output. So you get three possible outputs. So when this is called, you can get three possible output from here. So which are these three possible output? So the three possible output is, one is you are going to get it as success. The other one you will get it as failure. The third one you are going to get it as the error. Okay. If the output is error, you have to send it back to the same input page, that is the login page. If it is an error, go back to the login page and show the error message. If it is success, you have to show one of the success page. If it is a failure, you have to show a failure page. So you are supposed to do that thing. That mapping you have to say. So if the output of execute method, so when you run the execute method, if the output of the execute method is success, map it to success.jsp. If the output of execute method is failure, map it to failure.jsp. If the output of execute method is error, send it back to the login. And that is what you are supposed to do it here. So let us achieve that thing. How do I do that? I will go to this mapping. And then I have to specify the mapping. So I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to say struts. And I'm going to select the forward, where you are supposed to forward it. So remember, when I use the word mapping there, what is written is the action forward. Just to tell you that what is written out of this method is the action forward. So when you call this execute method, what you get is that action forward. So you have to specify the action forward. So let's go here and let's do it. So next struts, and I'm going to say not the exception, action add forward. So I'm going to add a forward. There are many names for this forward. What is the possible answer? The first possible answer that I'm going to get is success. Remember, it is not the capital success, it's a small case success. The string that is actually supplied with success. If the output is success, where will you get the or where is the place it's going to? So if it is success, where you are supposed to redirect? So if it is success, forward to, let's go here, browse and web pages. Under inf, select success. Okay, click select file, and that's it. So if it is success, you are sending it to the webInt success.jsp. Now what is specified here is, it just says, is it a global declaration? What's the meaning of saying global declaration? Do you have to do it for every such request? No, I'm not doing it. This is specific for login. So if there is a success from the login, then do it. If the action is login action form, login action, then only do it. For others, if they say success, don't redirect them to this pages. Okay. Then I'm going to say add. What it has done, you will notice now it has splitted the action, and here this was one line was there, it has added two lines. Now it has splitted that action, and now it says that if the forward name is success, take it to the success.jsp. So it says that. Similarly, we are supposed to take care of the failure. So let's take the failure part. I'm going to right click on it, struts, add forward. If the forward name is failure, you are supposed to send it to the failure. So I'll go here under webInf failure.jsp. Select it. Is this, once you say that it is not a global declaration, it will take that action is login. Click add. Now you notice that if the forward is failure, then take it to the failure.jsp. The next redirection is for the error. So let's go here for the error. Right click, struts, add forward. If the forward is error, then you will not redirect them to success or failure, rather you will redirect them to the input page itself. That's the login page. So redirect them to the back to the login page. Okay. So this is what is the mapping. So the mapping says, if the bird is success, take them to success.jsp. If it is a failure, take them to failure.jsp. If it's an error, take them to the login.jsp. So these are the possible. If you have any other condition, you go on specifying all the conditions one after the other. Let's go back to the action. Now we have not filled the path, we have just written the remark statement here. So if it is a error, what is that you are supposed to do? So we are in the action now. So we are performing some business logic. If it is a error, what we are supposed to do it? We are supposed to return, what is that? Go to the mapping. You have written the mapping there. If it's a success, you go here. Go to the mapping and find the forward for the word success. Remember, you can manually type it. It's just a string, because I have created a constant. I'm going to use it. This is a constant that I've typed. The success is actually a constant which is declared here. Instead of that, you can manually type success. That's not a big problem. Sorry, this is not. Sorry, this is not success. This is an error. This is an error because the first two conditions are error. Second one is also an error. So how do you do that? Return. Go to the mapping. Then find the forward for the error. Similarly, we have a success and failure. So if it is success, you have to go to the mapping, find the forward for success. Else, if it is not a successful login, you will have to say return mapping, find the forward for failure. Now this, when you do it, it's going to say this line is no longer required. The last one that it has added is going to say that's no longer required because all the conditions are getting satisfied. So I'm going to delete that line. This line is not required. That what it has added right at the beginning, that was not really required because I've taken care of it. So that is that's all you need to do. So we have specified the mapping and we have specified everything. But the problem is when we run our application, index.jsp struts by default. Last time also it had started. I don't want that index.jsp to start up my application. So now I want to configure. I want to tell the container that don't start with the index.jsp because if you start with the index.jsp, it will take you to the welcome.jsp and everything fails after that. So I want to tell the container, so I'll go to the project. I want to tell the container that don't start with the index.jsp. So how do I do that? This time it is not the struts that I can configure. It is the container. I want to talk to the container, so I'm going to use web.xml. I'm going to double click on this web.xml. In the web.xml, you will notice a few things. One is this do, you've already seen. I will go to the pages. Under it, I'll go to the pages. Then, so I have started this web.xml and under that, I've selected pages. Now here, you will notice that it is saying which is your welcome page. What is the meaning of saying welcome page? Which is your startup page? Okay, the startup page is index.jsp. I don't want it to be index.jsp. I want it to be something else, and they've already specified there. Use comma separated list. So I'm going to say browse, go to web pages, select login, and I'm going to select that file. You will notice that it has added login.jsp, comma index.jsp. What is this? What is the meaning of this? Find a file called login.jsp. If that file exists, execute that file. If that file does not exist, then go for index.jsp. Okay. If that file is not there, then show an error message saying that I can start the application. So we have done all these things. Let's give it a try to see how the application works. So I will go to the application and I'm going to run this application altogether. so that I have, did I, sorry, I won't get a error message. It's proper because I just missed one thing. What is that one thing? I will show you that part later. But let me show you the half of it. If I write a username and if I write the same password, this is my authentication condition, I get the successful. If I go back and if I type something else here, I get access denied, no doubt. But I am not getting that error message. What's the reason? I have not set the error message. That's the only problem that has occurred. If you look at your actions here, you have set here, you have said return the error, that's all. But you are not setting the error. You just say if there is an error, return back. But what is the error message? That is not specified. So what I am supposed to do is before I return back, I am supposed to set the error message for my login form. So what is this login form, by the way? It is the action. Okay, I have to set that error. There is this setter. You have to call that setter and set the value, otherwise it is null, it's blank, it's not going to show anything. So let me go over here and let's set it here. So how do I do that thing? I'm going to say login form set error message user name cannot be blank, or you must type a username. Similarly, I'll give some other message. When there is a error, so I'm going to say login form again set error message please type a password. I have to set those error message. If I don't set the error message, I cannot get the errors. Let's give it a try now. You notice when I refresh it, it's going to say username cannot be blank or anything. And oops, did I set it for a wrong one? I'm getting for this one. I think I have typed it at a wrong place. This is for the first error. This is the first error message. This one is the second error message. For this there is no errors. For the other two there was no error. I just typed it at a wrong place. One is when there is a username error, other one is when there is a password error. Okay, so I think the rest is proper. Let's give it a final try. Okay, you have to type the password, so I won't type the username. I get username cannot be blank. I type a username but not the password. I say I'll get the error message, and you will notice one thing, that if I type, I don't type anything but I type a password. I type a password. When the error is displayed, so this time it's going to say username is not proper. When the error is displayed, you notice that the password is not redisplayed. I told right at the beginning, do not display. Redisplay is false. That's what is happening here. It's not showing you the password. Whereas if I type a username here and don't type the password, the username reappears back. Because I have not set redisplay is false, if I type that redisplay is false, next time when the error message is shown, that option is not indicated. Okay? So this is a simple demo as to how to use the struts for taking authenticating a user. You notice that most of the things it has taken care. Unlike the last, what you have done is, even though I went very slow because you were doing it for the first time, you have not done lot of things when you created this application. What you have done, in fact, what are the things you have done? You have added a code here. This code you have added. You have added some lines here. That's the only thing. And you created the views. That is the login page, success page, and all the things. The rest of them pieces were automatically taken care by the struts. And that is what is the advantage of using a framework. Most of the things it will take care. You have to insert your code at appropriate places. That's the only thing. So when you want to show something, show some messages, you add those codes here. So these are like filling the blanks. You fill your code at the appropriate place. And you notice that it is not the Java that you are filling every time. It is the XML. It's the configuration that you are filling. Okay? So a very simple demo. I hope you're able to understand how the struts goes. I will finally give you the last overview of how the struts goes. For those who are not followed, what we did was we created a login.do. It came to the action.servlet. It created the login action form. It populated the username and password for the username and password that was supplied by the login form. It instantiated the login action. It called the execute method from that action form. Then, based on the output, it selected the appropriate view or it selected the appropriate JSP page for displaying it to the user. So it's a very simple application altogether. You are taking some input, then giving it to an appropriate action. Based on the output of the action, you show the result. You have not done lot of things, even though when you do it for the first time, it is a bit difficult to understand. But if you notice, you have not done lot of things. You just created a action. That's the only thing you did. You created a form and rest of the things, and you just created a mapping. So three things you did. The rest is working on its own. So this is a simple application. Let's now switch to Android. Okay, so in the last class we have done a few part of our exercise was completed. So we were doing student management system, and we had two classes. One is the student class and the student list class. What is there in this student class? Student class had only simple things like we had register number, name, codes, and individual details. So details of one student was there with us, and I said I want to store the list of student, not just one. This will represent one student, but I want to have a list of student. And for that, what I did then was I created a separate class called a student list, and I am maintaining a array list of students. So it's a list of students, more than one student. I want it to be available globally. So this list, I want it to be available not only for one activity, I want that value to be available across multiple activities. So how do I do that thing? I cannot simply create a student class and expect it to be globally available. You notice the scope, the page scope you had, if you compare it with the Java, you had page scope, you have request scope, you had session scope, and you have application scope. So application scope is the global scope. Suppose if you put something in the application level, it will be available for everything, and that is what I want to do here. So I want this class to inherit some of the properties of this application. So how do I do that thing? I'm going to say it, oops, I think I'm in caps lock. It extends the application. It extends the application. Okay. I think you don't get the overview because I have not downloaded the help for that. It extends the applications. So there is one word will take it to the application scope. But even though this is there at the application scope, our Android is not aware that it's there at the application scope. We have to tell the Android that this class must be available at the application scope. So what we are supposed to do it? Naturally, we have to configure it. How do we configure it? There is some XML file that allows us to do the configuration. So which is this XML file? When it comes to the Java, the Android, the XML file is the manifest file. So you have android.manifest, that's a configuration file. How you have web.xml, struts, config.xml. This is the configuration file for your Android application. So I'm going to double click on it. So now I want to do something at the application level, and you notice there is at the bottom side you have this applications. So let's click on this application. When you do that thing, it's going to say, do you have any class that you want it to be available at application level? So it says, do you have any class that is required at the application level? So I have one class and I want that class to be there at the application level. So I'm going to click on this, and I think I gave the name as student list. Okay. So student list. Student list, I will select it, click OK, and that's it. I just told the Android that, okay, that student list that I just created, I want it to be there at application level. So that's what, it's a simple, okay. So where is your student class now? It's going to be there at the application. You have to, whenever you want to use that student list, you have to get it from the application, then use it. So it's there at some other level. It's not there at the activity. Go to the application level, get it and use it. So you have to, it's like you have put it elsewhere at the top. So get it from the top, add something to it, put it back there. So that is what you have to do some extra work. Let's come back to the activity and let's create the activity first. So I have this main activity, and I'm going to create a simple application. Now you notice that you can easily drag these things. You can drag it here and there. Why it is possible is because of the layout. You have studied something on this swings, and you know very well in the swings or AWT, every form has a layout. Okay, you have the linear stack layout and so on. You have studied many layouts. Okay, now this is possible because of a layout. Which is that layout? Let's go to the XML part of it. Let's go to the XML part. I'll go to the activity main.xml. And you notice that it is because of relative layout. What is relative layout? What's the meaning of saying relative layout? you are placing the component with respect to the other component. So if you place a text box and a button, the button is placed with respect to the text box, that is relative to the other component. So you can place one next to the other, relative, one below the other, one top of the other, all are relative. Okay. Now if you try to do it relative, it's okay, but what will happen is as they put the control, what I have seen is it is going beyond the, you might have noticed sometime when you type the text, the other component just moves on to some other sites and you have to drag it back and so on. So when you use the relative, because it's a relative positioning, sometime when you change the attributes, the other component shifts. So I don't want that, waste time on that. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want this to be relative. I want it to be linear. What's the meaning of saying linear? One after the other. So you can have one after the other, so one after the other, or one below the other. Both are linear. One below the other. This is also linear. One after the other. That is also linear. So I'm going to say this is linear layout. When you do that, your code breaks altogether, because if you start with the linear layout, you have to close it with the linear layout. I hope that spelling is proper. Okay, so this is linear layout. Okay, don't worry about some warnings that it is giving you. Don't worry about that. Let's go back. We'll have it in the linear layout. You can align it. Now if you notice over here, the orientation is horizontal. That means one component, next component, next component, next. That's a horizontal. I want vertical, one below the other. How do I do it? Just click on this one. It's the vertical layout. What it has done, when you click on it, what it has done. If you go down and if you look at here, it will add one extra line, and that is Android orientation vertical. It has added that line. That's the only thing it will do. Okay, you don't have to bother about it. Now if you drag this, you will notice that you will not be able to place it anywhere and everywhere you place. It's not going to go there. It will fit at some specific location. Okay. Are you able to get up to this point? I will delete this. Let it be there. I think one button is there. Let me delete it. The one. Let me get a medium text and I'm going to drag it. I'm taking this medium because that small text is not visible. I'm going to get this medium and I'm going to place it here. Medium text. Okay. This part will be register number. That's a label. I will change it to register number label. Okay. So let me change the text. Have you come up to this point? Yes. Right click on it and I'm going to say edit text. Right click on it and say edit text. Then new string. Type any name here. I'm going to say reg number label message. Anything you can say. And I'm going to say reg number. Or let's say register number. Click OK. Click OK. And you get that. Below that I want to get a text box. So let's get a text box now. I'll go to this text field and I have a first name and last name of the person. That's sorry, not this is not the name. It is the number. So I'll go to and it's not a negative number. It's a positive number. So I'm going to drag it and just leave it here. You notice that it is not fitting here. Okay. So it says where you can fit it. That is because you said it's linear, one below the other. One component will come below the other. Okay. That I'm going to give a name to that. later. Okay, I'll change the variable name and that things. Let's go and let's go to the form again. Again, medium text. I'll place it below this. So medium text again, place it below this. I'm going to change the label there again. Edit text. So I'm going to change that label. It's the usual thing. New string. Yes name. Anything you can say. Yes name. Label message. Any variable name. Name. Click OK. So I've just changed the name. Name. So register number followed by name. It's going to come there. Okay. Then as usual, I'm going to drag this first name and last name. This is linear layout now, so it comes one below the other. Then, if you look at your student has register number, name, course, and semester. I don't want somebody to type the course and semester. I want them to select from the list. So how am I going to do it? I will go here to the widget and I'm going to select the spinner. Okay, I'm going to select that spinner. Drag it and just leave it. Spinner. I want to add the items into that spinner. So how to add the items? These are list of items. So if this is spinner is nothing but a drop down combo box. You click, you will get a list. You can select something out of it. How to add a item into the list? Now, if you try to do it by right clicking here, you will notice that it is not showing you a option to add a text or others, but it gives you an option edit the entries. If you click on this edit entries, it just says where is the string. Now you don't have the string here. If you select the list, these are not the list. I want the list like courses, NCA, NBA, and all those things. That list is not there. I have to create that list, then I will be able to use it. So I will cancel this and first create that list. Without that list, it's not possible. Let's go to the resources here. Let's go to the resources. Under this resources, you will find values. Under this values, you find that strings. This is an XML document again. All your strings will be available inside this. If you double click on this strings, you will notice that whatever you have created is there. Yes name, register number, label is there. If you click on this, you will see the actual values. If you click on this, you can see the actual values. If you want, you can make changes to this also. It's also possible. But now I want to add a list. So let me go to the add here. It's going to give me an option. What you want to do? I want to add a string array. It's not, I don't want to add one item. I want to add an array of items. So I'm going to say, I want to add a string array. Click OK. It's going to tell you, okay, what's the name of it? I'm going to say this is course list. List of courses. Okay. Now this is the main heading. Inside this, I'm going to add one items. Okay. Click on add now. It's going to give you an item. Now, for those who are getting that item, if you're not getting this item, for those who are not getting the item, see to it that you have selected this array. Then try that thing. If you select something else and then try to add, you'll get all the list. In that you can select the item, but it will add item to something else. So I'm going to select this one again. I'm going to say add. You get the item, so I'm adding one item inside it. I'm going to click add. That's all. I select item and click add. So I will start with MBA. So one item is added. So I've added MBA. It won't show it up here. One item is added. I'm again clicking on add. Select item. One more item. MCA. Add again. Select this item. Add again. MSC. Add one more item, and I will end with the PGDC. Save it, don't add it. If you clicked on add, just cancel it. Now if you look at this is what it's going to appear. If you look at this string here, you will notice that it has created a list here. That's all. If you made a mistake, you can delete it and add extra thing. It is possible. Suppose if you want to make it as MSC ST, it's possible. It's possible here. If you want to add one more item here, I can copy this and I can just paste it here, and I can say MSC BI. It's possible. Okay. It's one and the same whether you do it in the XML or you do it on the other side. Now I want the list even for these semesters, so I will not waste my time again coming over here, and I'm not going to type it again. So I want to create the list for courses. This is for the course, for the semester. Now if I click on this and try to add it, I will get the same thing again. So I'm going to click on something else, not the course list, anything else. You can select anything else. Click on add. This time it will give you all the options again. As usual, I'm going to select string array again, because I want the semester 1, 2, 3, 4, the list of semester for the next spinner. So I'm going to add it, click OK, and I'm going to say semester list. I'm going to add it. Again, click on add, click on item. This is semester 1. Add item semester 2. Add item semester 3. I'll do it. Semester 4, semester 5, semester 6. Okay, I'm going to save it. So we are done with that. 6 semesters, values are there. If you go to the XML, you notice that it's there. List is there. We will have to use that list in the activity. So let's go back to the activity. Let's go back to the main activity now. So let's go to the main activity. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say edit entries. Edit entries. Click on this edit entries. I'm going to say it is the array, because I created an array of the string, and I'm going to select the course list. When you look at it, nothing is going to appear. Just run this application to see how it appears. We are not completed. We have just added the entries for it. So just run it. to see how the things are going to appear. So what you get is this one. If you click on it, you'll be able to select any one of them from the list. And this is what is the spinner. That's what is the spinner. Are you getting it? Yes. So that is the spinner. So let's go back and let's complete the other part. So what we need now is the course and the semester. So let's get a medium text again. I'll get the medium text and oh, did I miss that medium text before? I should have. I think I missed that label. I put it. I just dragged it down. I missed the label before this spinner. I've added. What I've done was I added this label here. Then I dragged it down. So it's going to fit there. This one is for the course. I am not given the label for that. So I'm going to right click on it, edit text, add new string, course label, and I'm going to say course. So I got the course there. Again, I'm going to drag one more medium label, leave it here, one more medium label, leave it here, edit text, add string, and I'm going to say semester label message. Then I'm going to say it's semester. So I got semester after that. Then I'm going to drag one more spinner and leave it below this. One more spinner button and leave it below this. I will have to set the values for that spinner. Right click on it, edit entries, click on it, array, semester list. Click OK. So it got the semester list there. Then now I want to add two buttons here. One button is for adding, the other button is going to take me to the next activity. One of them, so I'm going to type the student name here, some register number, some name. I'm going to select the course, and when I say add, here if I say add, that item must be added to this student information must be added to the list. So I want two buttons, but you notice that it's a linear layout and it comes one below the other. So now I cannot put the buttons in the horizontal direction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag one more linear layout at this location. So what I'm going to do now is I want two buttons to come one after the other. Because the layout is vertical, it won't support that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the layout again. So I'm going to go to the layout, and I'm going to take the linear layout in the horizontal direction. So I'll take that layout and then drag and leave it here. So that horizontal layout, this is the layout, and I'm going to leave it here. So it has come at this. This is one more layer. So you have a outer linear vertical layer. Inside you have a horizontal layer. Now I can drag the buttons. So if I drag a button into this, you will notice that it will allow me to add a button. If I add one more button, it will give me a location to add one more button onto the other side. So we have a horizontal and a totally vertical. Inside that we get a horizontal layer. Okay. So this is how you have to do the layout. One horizontal, one vertical. If you are not using the relative layout, I'm going to change those two names there. So this name I'm going to change. Edit text, new string, and I'm going to say add button message, add button message, and I'm going to say add. Click OK, click OK. So you got this add. Next, I want to change the label. Right click, edit text, one more text message. For the second button, I'm going to say list button message, list. Click OK, click OK, and that's it. So save it and just give it a try how it's going to appear. So you can type a student register number, you can type the name for the student, and then get rid of it. Then you can select the semester as well as something, and then if you say add, this information must be added as a student object into the global list. Okay, so you are adding here, and in the next activity I'm going to list out all the students' names that are added to the list.